This is Lab 2, Part 3. You will be doing the chromatography portion during this part. What you're going to see when you start Part 3 is there's going to be a test tube rack set up on your lab tray. And inside this test tube rack, there will be a test tube, and there will be solvent inside. You're going to want to leave your test tube in the rack the whole time for safety so it doesn't fall or roll or break. When I draw the test tube, I'm going to leave it outside of the rack because it's easier for me to draw, but you're going to want to leave it in the rack the whole time. So, you're going to go get your piece of chromatography from the chromatography paper from the back of the room that has those 7 spots, a minimum of 7 spots of your dye, and you're going to bring it up to your test tube that has the solvent in it. You're going to take your chromatography paper and you're going to push it into the test tube. You might have to use a little bit of force and the paper might get a little bit bent on the sides, but that is okay. The really important part is that you don't push it down so far that your spot of dye gets wet. It's very, very important that only the tip of the paper goes into the liquid and your spot of dye stays dry above it. Once you've gotten this set, you can let go of the paper because it should hold in place. If you're worried about it, you can hold it with one hand, and you're going to have to wait. So here's my clock again. Okay? After a while, what you're going to see is the paper will have soaked up the solvent, and the liquid is actually going to start moving up your paper, and you're going to start seeing smears. So instead of a nice round dot, you're going to actually see a little smear that looks like this, and there might be multiple smears of different colors. Don't worry about that. What you want to pay attention to is how far up the solvent has moved up your piece of paper. So when you see kind of that faint line up here, which means that this solvent, this liquid, has gone all the way up to the top of your paper, almost to the top, you're going to want to pull your paper out of the test tube. And what's going to happen is that solvent is going to dry pretty quickly, right? This little mark right here, this little wet mark, is going to dry pretty quickly. So you're going to want to get your pencil, and you're actually going to want to draw a big line right where that solvent line stopped, okay? And that's going to be really important. You're going to see the rest of your smears coming up from your starting point, and that's fine. And then you're going to have to start calculating your RF values.